Okay, so a pretty ugly day today in the market across the board, very broad-based across every sector, and the S&P was down in the red zone. I'd love to say that there were pockets of opportunity or ones that were more resilient, but there really wasn't. Some could argue that some of the stay-at-home stocks were a little bit more resilient, some actually to the positive, but the broadest base was still negative. The S&P right now is actually below the levels that were originally the high levels in the S&P prior to COVID, set back on February 19th, and now it's off about 5.5% from the more recent high set back on September 2nd. And I think it's due to the fact that the market's really starting to get nervous. You're starting to see some jockeying in terms of positioning and how allocations are put forth. And you know, when you take a look at the biggest concern, I think, is opposite of what we talked about a couple weeks ago, which is the idea that the market was embracing the blue wave. And if that came and the Democrats had all facets of government, the House, the Senate, as well as the presidency, obviously the market would be welcoming big stimulus at that point because it would sail right through. We know that package would be big, and that's what the economy needs, and that's what the market's been banking on. But if we actually have split branches so that the Senate is still controlled by the Republicans and the House is maintained by the Democrats, that could just cause some logjam. Obviously, we're seeing what's going on right now with the inability for them to pass any sort of stimulus prior to the election. How would that really differ after the election if that's the case? And let's say Trump gets voted out and there becomes what they call a lame duck session. How much is really going to get passed at that point? It's really up in the air, and I think the market's very nervous about that. So at this point, it doesn't not matter that the victor in terms of the presidency, but I think the market's really starting to try to grapple with the fact that we could have this potential logjam and what that means for future stimulus, how big the package is, and when we actually get it. So today, I think with the market at one point down close to 1,000 points on the Dow Jones, you're starting to see that nervousness. And again, the whole reason that we've made very clear that we think it's probably not a bad idea to raise a little bit of cash and have a little dry powder on the sideline to see what then happens after the election. We did finish up our 2020, what we call our post-election buy list, which has been split up into different categories depending upon who wins the election and which way the legislative branches go. So if we can be of value, if you'd like some insight on some of that, please feel free to reach out. Love to hear from you. Thanks for watching the videos, and we'll see you soon.